In part 3 of our Tea Time chat, we discuss dreamtime work and astral travel, portals, stargates, and bilocation in the astral realm. We talk about D. Taylor Mason's A Crystalline Bead download, nodes within the cosmic blueprint, DNA shifting into the crystalline structure, multiple probable timelines and parallel lives, and synchronicity. We also discuss Stargate activation and building the Earth grid, working with crystals, lightening the load, house cleansing and letting go, and Feng Shui, creating sacred space at home and at work, energy work, intention and readings, and healing. Sort of parachute thing, and they'd fly me over to America, and then eventually I learned that there were portals and tunnels and stargates that I could find in the astral realm to take me straight in. So now I can literally get into an astral projection, get out of my window, find a portal. You just say US or New York or Connecticut or Mars or Arcturus, wherever you want to go, and the portal should, not always, there's some surprising things that go on, but should take you to where you're projecting yourself once you get into alignment. Okay. And the astral world is the most wonderful learning curve of how to grow. You know, you're like a baby when I first came out of my body. I fell on the floor because I didn't know how to stand up in the astral body, and then I fell through the floor. You know, all sorts of things going on back then when I first started. But I will say again, really interesting that the Nine were talking to me about in my most recent channeling. A lot of people get compelled by astral projection, think, I want to do that, you know, and then they'll work with it as a science, and I think it's called being an aeronaut, and it's wonderful, and they'll work with that, and they will find it. But when you take the spiritual path, when you move into an ascension path, these are byproducts that naturally will occur. As you expand, you will naturally move into astral projection, and a lot of the way showers now will have been astral projecting for many, many years. If you do use astral projection as your focus and think, well, I don't want the spiritual stuff, I just want to astrally project, there should come a time within that journey that in your astral journeying, a being will come and take you, and then you will naturally shift anyway. So it's a key in, but to always remember that the goal, if you like, is to be in alignment with one's path, to be in alignment with one's blueprint. And you can feel it, can't you? We all said today, don't you feel like all four of us today are standing on a node, as in a blueprinted node?
Yes.
This brings me to some channeling that you talked about, one of your downloads when I interviewed you. You'd had a recent channeling, and you were saying it's like a crystalline, grid or a crystalline. It's something to do with the DNA, and you explained it as like pieces of string with little beads on.
Oh yes, yes.
Well, about a week later, all that was in my head after watching the interview again.
Yes.
I went to sleep, and it was all coming through in the dream space, and they were saying to me that the crystalline string and the bead, and this is what you had picked up when I saw you earlier on, was many things. One was the crystalline change, because the DNA is shifting into this sort of aligned thread and moving from you know, carbon-based to crystalline-based within the cellular makeup of the body, but also that this was also the synapses within the brain, so it was happening within the brain, mapping in the same way. And the other part of it was the life we live, as in we're walking through the string, and the bead is the node.
Right.
Like we're all stood on a node today, and anyone watching this video who's just stumbled across it and thinks, oh, I'm going to watch that, they're in the node with us.
Yes.
And that's a node where it's like you can make choices in your life, and each choice takes you into another parallel reality. So when you're in the node, it's like you've sat in the middle of a core of parallel realities, and you're embracing all of them, meaning that in all our timelines we're here.
Yes.
I mean, there are other timelines further away from us where you haven't joined us, you've gone to the shops, but they're so far away, because we're so in that fifth density energy that all the timelines within all the probabilities to us are, we're all here.
Yes.
So that's the node.
Yes.
So it's the DNA, and when you know that that's, what you can do is create the DNA activation by living your life and following the choices and sticking in with the nodes and following the alignment. It's difficult for somebody, when you say follow your heart, follow the clues, follow the synchronicity, follow the alignment.
Yeah.
Some people say, yep, great, got it, I do that. Other people may be thinking, well, this is a load of mumbo jumbo, what does it mean?
Yeah.
So then if you explain to them, by doing that, you are actually scientifically changing the body at a cellular level. I mean, none of us here are scientists, so we can't really explain that fully. But anyone who is sceptical about the spiritual path, go look up the scientific path as well. Find your way in. That way. It doesn't have to be through what we're saying. Does that make sense to your crystalline bead?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it does actually. Because when I saw it, it was all around and in us and through the walls, the whole thing, and the beads and everything was just so beautiful. And the synchronicity, I just want to share this with you. On Friday, I set off for my walk. I walked to Highcliffe and I thought, I'll go in and see Jessica if she's around. I did this the week before. And I'm playing Take That, and I'm walking along the beach, and there is an incline and I'm out of breath, and the sound is, breathe deeply, right? That's coming through my ears. And I thought, okay, yes, I'll do that, and the synchronicity of all of this. So I'm walking to Jessica's. Jessica is doing a reading, so I can't go in there. So I then went into a cafe, and then I sat down. The coffee arrived, it was beautiful, and there was the little star biscuit, and on the wall there were all of these pictures of artists from Hollywood, and one was Neo, who is a connection to Daniel, and another one was Robert Downey Jr. and many others. And then I'm still listening to Take That, and it was like a rising star. And I just laugh at the synchronicity of all that. But somewhere within my expectation and what I had manifested was, I'm just getting to the DNA now, I had manipulated the DNA and the strands and the beads and all the beauty to actually create that moment. And it was right in the moment, you know, it was absolutely perfection in that second. But there is more information coming on that, I think, with the crystal.
Oh, definitely.
And I've been drawn to, I tried to offload some books last week and found that I had to keep a lot of them I need to reread. And when I took them to the place I was offloading them, there was The Bringers of the Dawn, the Palladian book, which I've started to reread again. And I also run meditation groups, and one of the meditations is actually to take the energies right back to the core of the earth, which is crystalline. So we were doing that work again, and it seems to be important. It's almost like going back again to come forward, and we keep doing that continuously. But since doing that, I feel the energy connection of the planet more so, because we've come to a place within our crystalline development where we can actually reconnect with the earth on a very different level, and that's where this is. I've gone all the way around the houses to actually get to that point.
Well, you do. I mean, we're learning to sort of bring this stuff through, but the bead is also the earth as well.
Yes.
So like the network, and I'm getting lots now about the stargates and the sort of grid around the earth. And I went to Stonehenge on the spring equinox, expecting, I told you this at the workshop, expecting some sort of amazing experience as I stood with the stones, and of course it was lovely and I could feel that energy flow, but not this mind-blowing experience. I was going to sort of ascend and all the stones were going to activate and this burst of light was going to come down from the sky. It wasn't really like that, but that night I had the most amazing experience, and I was asleep, and the 9 were next to me, and they said, "Are you ready for the next step into Ascension?" And I have to say, before you'd done the energy work on me, with my sort of slight fear of going forward, I probably would have said, I don't know. But because you've done this work on me, and I now know it's time to go higher through whatever tool, I said yes. And my whole body just tingled from head to toe. The whole body just tingled all over. And I thought, wow. And then this burst of light came from the heart chakra and actually burst out of me into this beam of light in front of me. It was like a doorway, and I knew I had to step through, and then I opened my eyes. So I didn't step through. So I know that that's something yet to come, I certainly hope, because it was wonderful. And then there were these little tiny sacred stones all around me, this big, because I've been to Stonehenge that day. So instead of a key, that I've key swapped with another human being, or a download which looks like a parcel with string tied up, or like a little chest that I have to open. These are sacred stones. And I thought they're different because these have come in from the earth, and these were about the stargates. And that's again your bead. So the string is like the ley line, and the bead is the stargate.
Yes.
So how do we map that? Because we're mapping that with our life. As we live our life and make choices, we're mapping our own beading, changing our DNA. But we can walk across the earth, or all sorts of things. I mean, people may be told, take a crystal, bury it by that river, touch that tree, plant some particular seeds over here. If you are getting that, I would say follow it, because we don't fully know. We don't have the overview. We can take the overview, and when we do take the overview, the mathematical precision of what's going on is, it's beyond our capabilities of understanding.
Yes.
It's just so spot on.
Yes.
And that's why I always get, are we on track
Yeah.
for this ascension process? Yes, and more. And this mathematical precision. So if you are told to bury a crystal or throw a crystal in a lake, if it's coming from that deep knowing and that connection, then follow it, because we're building a grid and we're opening stargates, and there are many ways as to how that could be done. Does that relate to the beads? And
Well,
the
it
nodes?
does, and it's interesting you talk about actually burying the crystals and things, because I was picking up yesterday that it's time to, the crystals that you're not working with, put them back into the earth, wherever you feel that they need to go, in the water or in the sea.
Don't want to do that.
I know, but the ones,
but
the ones you really hold on to.
Yeah.
If you don't want to maybe give them to somebody as a gift, and it was really interesting because I gave somebody a gift of a crystal for her birthday. Actually, she won't be watching this before Tuesday, but...
Oh, she's not had the present yet. I won't upload the video.
And so I couldn't actually give her one of mine. I had to buy her one. It was specially, and then I tuned it for her with all this lovely energy. But for the moment, I can't give these away. But I did go through a phase where I had some huge crystals, and I gave them all away, didn't I?
Well, you felt
I didn't
to
need
do
them
that.
anymore. It was the right thing to do. So if you do feel inclined to actually pass them on or put them back into the earth, I think the earth is actually speaking now.
Yes,
It's actually saying to us, do you know what, we let you have them.
Yeah.
You don't need
Yes,
them anymore.
you
Let
have
them
them
go
back.
back.
Yeah.
I would say, going back to your talking about everything is energy, everything around us, everything we perceive as solid is actually energy vibrating at a different level. And this energy is actually universal love. So in doing that, giving back symbolism, however it happens, is you are returning the love that's been given to you. So perhaps that would be a nice way to perceive a burying or a throwing back into the sea, perhaps, or burying and putting a plant on top. Maybe that's a nice way to offer it back to Mother Earth. Thank you for your love. I now give it back to you with my love.
I think that's lovely, and also that applies to anything, because I often say to people, they've got all this stuff, and I say to them, look in your house and your closets and your car and everywhere, and say, do I really love this thing? And if you don't, let it go, because there'll be somebody that does. And that comes back to the charity shop clothes and everything, doesn't it?
What
The
did I do?
recycling the books.
I had to clear everything out when I brought in.
If it's closed, throw them my way.
Yeah, honestly, I gave some amazing clothes away.
Well, I was with Dee during that period, and it was the most amazing and thorough cleansing.
Yes.
It was almost cutting of cords.
It was totally a big shock to me as well,
yes.
because I was I just accumulated quite a lot of lovely clothes, and they was like, right now, take them to Oxfam.
Darn, I missed that. Maybe I bought some actually.
Maybe you did.
You funny, we've all turned out really.
Is this one of your tops still?
But it was really strange because they still had labels on in some cases.
Oh wow, really?
And when I brought the new energy in, I was just told to wear golds at the time, so everything of colour went, didn't it? And one day I was impressed to actually give a girl a gold bracelet that I had, and she was reluctant to take it, and I just said, look, I've been guided to do this. And anyway, she took it, and I met her a few months ago. We got back in touch again, and she was talking about the bracelet, and I've still got the bracelet, I'm holding it for you. She said, no, if I give it, it's gone for good. So that gave her permission to actually sell it, and that was very useful for her at the time. But yeah, the giving, what I'm getting, as we're both discussing about the crystals now, it's opening up to more than that. We need to travel lightly, and everything that you have, you know that you can actually give. You can't take anything with you. So if it's useful to you, whether it's aesthetically or beautiful, or whether it's physically useful to you, that's okay. But the rest, you know, just let it go, and I'm about to do it again, because I've accumulated yet again. And because the more you give, it just comes back in another way. And this is
and you
the manifestation.
Create the cycle.
Yes.
I resonate so much, but I have to say, it's always been really hard for me to let things go.
Yes.
I am not a hoarder, but I do tend to hold on to things. As anyone who's seen my garage will attest to, but I do resonate with what you're saying, and I do feel that it is time to, you know, look at your belongings and let things go.
Bring me in. Bring me in. I'll do it for you.
Yeah, I don't know why it's hard. Why is it hard for me to let go? It's like I've got an emotional attachment. I think it might get. No, I've been drawn back actually to. I know what it is now. A time when this is Jess. This is your template. Look, see, I don't even know.
I know. You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
I'm doing Jess. My mother. I remember when I was really, really little. Before I was ready to let go, she cleared out all my toys, and I remember her having a bonfire, and I remember her burning some of my toys, and I was absolutely devastated at the age of like 3 years old to see like my toy that I'd had when I was 1. She, you're a big girl now, you don't need that. I remember them being burnt, and I think that's the first time I've realised that that's why I've never been able to. I mean, I've got clothes, bin liners full of clothes I haven't worn for years, and ornaments and books and things that I don't need. So, and I've taken them with me when I move house. I take them all with me.
There's a way through now.
It's a really common
I
thing.
can help you
And
with
it's
that.
also about, you know, society has said, you know, you've got to get, you've got to have, you've got to, you know, and certainly in, I would say, all our era, if I'm being really honest, where, you know, it was accumulate, you know, we'll give you this from the point of view of, you know, lending. You know, we were in the lending society we've been in, haven't we, for so long, and so we've learnt that, you know, to have more is good. And that's actually now reversing, isn't it? We're now realising that actually, don't we feel lighter and better? You know, when you clear out whatever you've cleared out, whether if you've just taken a shelf and cleared it out, or like you've had a purge, and you know, I used to be very much like that as well. I can't say it was a significant experience from, you know, particularly from childhood, but I've valued certain things, and there's certain things that I've really valued that I know there's come a time of letting it go, because it just feels right on one level, but that part of me that wants to keep it, and I went through a major clearing out years back. Not that I had that much stuff, I didn't think I did, but it's not until afterwards you realise how much lighter. I remember we're talking about energy, everything's energy, so we're carrying this energy around us, so, you know, I regularly say to
that's
people...
feng shui as well, isn't it?
It is good feng shui.
Is it feng shui? We say feng shui in the UK, don't we?
Yes.
I've heard some people pronounce it feng shui or feng shui, but we say feng shui.
We say feng shui. I think they do in the East as well. I've got a friend over that part of the world, I'm sure he uses the term feng shui.
But that's what it is when we, even if it's just hoovering, you know, we're cleaning and cleansing and shifting and moving things and lightening, and you can feel it, because I've got a friend from Canada coming to stay with me this week, so I thought about time I cleared up the spare room. And so, but when I woke up this morning after doing this cleaning, I opened my eyes, I could sense this lightness of energy upstairs, and I thought, that's because I cleared the spare room out and I actually moved things out of there and threw rubbish away. When you become sensitive to energy, you can feel it everywhere.
I agree.
Everywhere.
Absolutely agree.
It's huge. But it's having your place also as a sacred place, isn't it? I mean, my home is my my little temple, really, the whole of it. And the energy I've created in here, you know, with the moving of things and the help I've had is just phenomenal. So I think everyone's home should feel like that to them, whether you have things or not. But it is the place that you want to feel very comfortable in.
Or at least if you can't do it within the home, one room, because a lot of people have got children running in and out and teenagers and throwing their shoes on the floor and all that. Just one room. Even a small, that you can feel, this is my sacred vortex. You know, some of my clients do this, to go into their room and wow, the energies that they've created in there with the crystals and the ornaments and all the things that are precious to them, and you can actually see the vortex field, and it's instantly you're moving into a higher dimension, which is what you've done at Destiny. The minute you open the door, you move from 3rd density street into 5th density space. If you are able to walk through the gateways into 5th density, I mean, guess your postman might not necessarily come into that. I don't know. I mean, have you been raising the vibration of the postman?
Well, actually, yeah, because I set an intention that no one will be able to walk through that door unless they are, not necessarily that they're in that dimension, obviously, they don't have to be, they can be in any dimension, but if they are willing for change. That's the only way that they will be able to walk through that door. So, on all levels, whether it's your home or wherever, if you set an intention and you create that space, then you want someone to gain something positive from it, don't you? So whether we're interacting here, so the intention is whatever we've individually set for that, and for, you know, the people out there who will be watching this, they will also, as you were saying earlier, they will I think you described it as the node. So it's basically,
and it works, because I've seen people stand on your doorstep and look at all the and then they'll hover around. You can feel the decision-making process going on the doorstep, and then they will walk away, maybe to come back the following week. Or does that? Do you see that happening?
Absolutely, and you know, it's really funny because I can tell something, a story, well, not a story, but something that happened recently about, you know, how we're all continually growing and evolving, and this does involve Destiny, obviously. But basically, that's my intention, that whoever walks through that door. So what I've also created is a space for a coffee morning, as you say, you've done a talk there, Magenta, you've done a talk there. And the intention was that everybody comes in there, gets this. Anyway, obviously from a reading perspective, I have a similar intention that whoever I can help will come to me and find me. So I have these people hovering about and some go, and I smile because I know that either they'll find it somewhere else or maybe one day they'll return, whatever, maybe. But I had a lady come into a coffee morning not so long ago, and bless the lady, she came in and she obviously wants to mix with people, and you know, obviously it's quite a thing walking into a place, especially if it's, you know, like spiritual. You know, here we are in Highcliffe-on-Sea, which is full of all sorts of different things, but not a spiritual shop. Very much in America, I think this goes. All the American people can relate to this. Once in LA, I've actually visited a lady who's got a shop like that. But anyway, and so this lady came in and she sort of said to me, "Oh, I might be having a reading with you." And I just said, you know, if you want to book a reading, whatever. But I must be really honest with you. There was a part of me that thought, you're not ready. Okay, but there was a lot of people in the room at the time, as I say, it was a coffee morning. Anyway, the lady came back another time to a coffee morning, the same thing happened, and she sort of mentioned this. Anyway, she, on the 3rd occasion, I think it was, she said, "I'd like to book that reading." So what actually happens is, I did book the reading with her. We started the reading, very, very, quite wonderful exchange and experience. I don't know, I think it was probably nearly 40 minutes into this reading, and I went, stop, you're just not getting this. And you're not getting me, and I'm not getting you, and this interaction. Now, what I did know, what I've learned from that is that I should have said no in the first place.
Listen to yourself.
But on another level, I've since then thought, I'm not so sure about that, because you know what, we're going through this changing thing, and as I say, there's an intention that whoever's ready will come, and it'll all be appropriate. So the wonderful mutual exchange, basically, of all of that is, somebody said to me, send her the recording that you've already done anyway. Because there was no exchange in money. It was so appropriate as it was. So I sent. Anyway, this lady, if she's listening, wonderful, she returned to the shop and shortly afterwards said to me, "Thank you so much for sending that. I'm getting stuff now."
Oh, brilliant.
And so really to answer your question, yeah, we're all in the right place at the right time. We'll all find what we need from someone at the right time. Yes. And I think it's being able to be open and trust no matter what. So yeah, that really, really taught me something. And then every experience that you have, again, is just another opportunity to grow, isn't it?
Yeah, they're not wasted. No experience.
No, absolutely not.
If you can just look at it.
Also, the word reading. A lot of people think, oh, it means a tarot reading, or which of course you can do, but it's more than that. With you, it's a multi-dimensional work, and a lot of people expect. I mean, I'll have clients, and you know, they want to come along and they want me to tell them their future, and off they go. And it isn't a case of, oh, hello, I can see the future, you can't. This is what your future is. Goodbye. It's just not like that at all. It is a blending with the person, a merging with the person. It's looking at all the potential possibilities around them and the choices that they can make to get to those potentials, and looking at all the past mapping and what might be holding them back. And the energies are such, really, that the slightest thought process, the belief system, the thoughts, the actions can shift the potentials within the timelines.
Yes.
So I can see a client on a Monday and I can see them the following week, and if there's been a lot of growth or shifting and change, those timelines, the probabilities will have gone up and down.
Yes.
But a lot of the clients I see, they get that. So they will then say to me, you know, what's the probability now on that particular event, and I'll look and see what it is. And even that can be split, because they might be in a state of indecision. So the probabilities are sort of floating around.
How do you feel with that analogy of our life progress, of having these thoughts, having these choices, and then you go down that choice? That from some recent reading that I've been making, as you're having parallel and multiple existences with every choice you make.
Yes, absolutely.
That you will, if you have that choice, you will go down that way, and that will be created, and that will happen. And if you take that choice, so and so on down that line, and that every choice at every moment, there's multiple use.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
probably I'm seeing it different to the multiple dimensions that Magenta said about your existence at this time, but just...
Well, no, it's the same thing, because what you can do, you see all the potential choices, and then in there is you.
Yes.
And you don't have to channel an angel or a guide or source, if you like. It's all source. You can channel yourself.
Yeah.
So I often say to clients, and it's harder to do it if you project longer than a year. You can go anywhere you want, but for beginners with this exercise, project yourself 6 months in. So say you've got a choice and there's 3 choices, A, B and C. So you can chat to all the 3 Anns and say, well, you know, what, you've made this choice, what does it feel like? And Anne will tell you. She'll tell you all the good bits, the bad bits, and then B and C. And sometimes within the exercise itself, a 4th timeline can open up. Sometimes you can see a blending. There's another one you haven't perhaps thought of, that you can actually get a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of that, and pop it in another timeline, and then see another Anne. So speaking to, it's
really I love it.
Because it's a map. You can go anywhere on the road if you've got the car. Well, the car is the vehicle, and the petrol is the 5th density energy.
Absolutely, yes. Because very often this is when I'm helping clients, when I'm having them at home for healing, because mine isn't necessarily on a psychic level, because through Reiki, which I am Reiki now, I'm more than Reiki, so I don't intention that a healing involves Reiki. It's Reiki plus 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 plus. Occasionally words come through for a client, and I'm beginning to lose my threads. What we're talking about, choices. Okay, yes, sorry, I had...
Don't worry, that happens.
I didn't know whether this was going to be a...
We've got multi-dimensional threads, and so it's not always easy to hold on to.
There's a complete experience of what Magenta was just saying.
I have had 2 very interesting dreams lately, and I think I have analysed them correctly.
Well, no one's going to analyse them better than you, because you're the dreamer.
Yeah, exactly. And I have worked that one through as well. Now, the first one was, even though in my dream I knew exactly that I was the age I am now, but I was pregnant. And I